So we switched 4,000 years, fast forward to today. Why did Israel fight a war over this water? You all know that the 6-Day War started because of this water. This spring we saw. Okay, so here's the problem with the water. Correct. So, okay, this is what we got in. This is what Israel got in 1948 after fighting our independence war. Okay, not all this. We got a big chunk. Was like removed from our country. It's called the West Bank. It looks like half a butterfly. See it? Right? It's called the West Bank. Why is it called the West Bank? Because the Jordan River is here, and the Jordanians called this the West Bank and this the East Bank of the River Jordan. You got it? So let's look again what did Israel get after our independence, 48. We got the Galilee, we got the coast, the Negev desert, and we have half of Jerusalem. Okay? And Jerusalem, we got half, they got half. Jerusalem was divided between Jordan and a little bit of the Dead Sea. Yeah, see the border goes into the middle of the Dead Sea, we got half the Dead Sea, the south half. Okay? This is what we got in 1948 when we fought for independence. And we lived like this for 19 years. The 48 war? Okay. We waited for the Brits to leave. The Brits left on our Independence Day. By the way, the Brits decided our Independence Day. But the day they left, Ben Gurion announced independence. Okay? We didn't choose the day, the British did. That's the minute Ben Gurion reading independence, all the neighbors that you guys are in, their homes now, attacked Israel simultaneously. Okay? So we fought all our neighbors in 48. And each one of them did well or not. I mean, the Syrians didn't do much. Lebanese, not that much. Egypt, a little bit. The only successful neighbor that managed to get a big bite was Jordan. Look how much. Including half Jerusalem. Okay? So we ended up with this, and we lived like this for 19 years. From 48 to 67. 1967, building up to 67, we are confronting problems from both sides. Okay? In the north, we have the Syrian regime backed up by the Russians. And also in the south, we got the Egyptians. There's a young general who rises to power. His name is Nasser. And these two neighbors are starting to threaten and pressure tiny Israel. Okay? So where does the pressure come? It comes on two fronts. From the south, it's access to our port in Eilat, where Andy's standing. And in the north, he is messing around with our water. Okay? So I need 2 more rocks. Okay? These are the 3 springs that feed the Jordan River, that feed their drinking water in the Sea of Galilee. Okay? Look at the 3 springs. 2 of them are in Israel, and we have access to them. 1 of them is in Syria. Guess which one is in Syria? Anias. Third of the water. See now, if you don't touch the water, it all flows in the same direction to the Jordan. See? So the Syrians are standing here and looking at the water and saying, wow, it's flowing into our enemy's land. Let's divert it away. And they start building a canal to divert the water out of Israel and into Syria. Okay, so now Israel sees this and they're saying, no way. And this pressure on our water and that pressure down south on the access to the Red Sea, to the ports in Eilat, are what started the 6-Day War. Okay, how many days was the 6-Day War? How many neighbors did we fight? 3. Okay, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. Okay, 2 days each. Okay, you want to hear what we did to our enemies? 2 days each. Sorry, I mean this is like. By the way, this overconfidence got us into trouble. And 6 years later, we got a big slap in the face in the Yom Kippur War. Okay, so always need to kind of like lower our self-confidence. But the Six-Day War, Israel launched the first attack. This pressure persuaded our leadership that there will be a war whenever, and let's take the first strike and take the advantage. So Israel launched an air attack on Egypt, where that metal post is. Okay, our Air Force took off. The first hour from the first day of the Six-Day War, flew over to Egypt and destroyed the whole Egyptian Air Force in the first 2 hours of the war. Egypt were out of the game in the first 2 hours of the war. Like their whole Air Force was destroyed on the ground. Okay? And then the tanks started, they crossed that border and they started driving all the way down without any air coverage, with only our air coverage, all the way down till they reached the Suez Canal. So the Egyptians, they lost their war in the first half of the day. What happened with the Egyptians is they started broadcasting success. Okay? Nasser, he was a little mad. He thought he would be the pan-Arabian leader. He would unite all the Arabs under his leadership. The Russians gave him a lot of support. And he thought that, he would be Mr. So Nasser, he is not realizing yet what's going on, and he's broadcasting in the Egyptian news success in all their fronts. King Hussein, over here, instead of staying away from the war, okay, he picks up Nasser's pressure and messages, and he's also tied with these two neighbors that if there's a war, he joins in, and he's dragged into the war. King Hussein, remember him? By the way, Israelis love him, because later on he became a big friend of ours. But back here, he starts attacking East Jerusalem and the West Bank, and all the forces that are not needed in Egypt anymore because Egypt lost their front are transformed back to the West Bank, and the Jordanians are pushed all the way from where they were. See here, the green line? Now they're pushed beyond the Jordan River. 2 days, they're all thrown out, including East Jerusalem. This is when we get back. Half Jerusalem who was in the Jordanian okay? So day 1, day 2 in Egypt. Day 3, day 4 in Jordan. Who's left? We started the whole problem. So what happens here is that the Syrians, they were kind of like on the fence, not sure, in, out. All they're doing is launching artillery. They didn't like launch a ground attack. But now that the two fronts are secure, the pressure moves from the farmers of the Khula Valley. We drove by their land. 20 years they're living under the Syrian artillery, and they feel an opportunity, and they put pressure on our government. There's a delegation of farmers from the Khula Valley. They go down to the Jerusalem, they knock on the door, they sleep outside the door, and they tell the government, remove this threat away from us. Now there's a chance. The person who cracks, his name is Moshe Dayan. Remember him?
Yeah.
So the night between day 4 and 5, he goes to bed saying, no, enough, this is great, we did more than we expected. Wakes up in the morning, changed his mind, and that's when he picks up the phone and he launches an attack on the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights? Okay? That's how we got the Golan Heights, because they were not part of Israel anymore. And then the attack on the Golan Heights happens on day 5 with all the available troops that are done their jobs in Jordan and in Egypt, and they launch an attack, push the Syrians all the way to where they are now, to the armistice ceasefire line, we call it. Okay, it's not an official border because it was gained in the war. So, and the whole piece of land that suddenly is gained from the Jordan River to the tops of the mountains, we call this Golan Heights, including where? Now I need a big rock, is there one there?
There's a bunch of them.
Okay. The last hour of the last sixth day of the war, there's one piece of land. Yeah. Okay. You guys know what this is, right? Mount Hermon. Okay. So it's always always good to have family, friends, family members, okay? The Air Force general, his name is Ezer Whiteman. His brother-in-law is Moshe Dayan. You know that, right? They married sisters. Moshe Dayan and Ezer Whiteman married sisters, so they're related. So he calls him, he says, I need, the Air Force officer calls Moshe Dayan and says, you're there, I need you to put a couple of guys on top of Mount Hermon, because if we have Hermon, I can secure with the eyes up on the mountain, the whole northern border. Can you do that favor for me? No problem. And just before the ceasefire is signed, a helicopter flies around, drops soldiers on top of Mount Hermon, and we've been there since. Okay. And this is where the 6-day war ends. Israel tripled its size in 6 days. The whole Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the whole Golan Heights, and Mount Hermon all switched hands in 6 days. It's like the greatest victory in modern times ever. Warning you that 6 years later we got a big slap in our face with the Yom Kippur War. But that's a different talk.
Was that the Israeli-Arab war?
This one? It's one of our 5 wars we fought with the Arabs.
Okay.
It's the one that everyone wants to remember because this was like a really great success. So you see how this little spring plays such a big role in everything? Back in Abraham's time, in Jesus' time, and in modern times. So next time, now on the way back to the water, respect to that water, huh?
Yeah.